Sometimes you know that you're seeing something for the first time in the history of our species, right? You have an insight that no one had before. That's really powerful, right? But we have a responsibility to communicate that information.
So I was involved in initiating the center. I was the founding director of the center. So I had brought together people from OBGYN, obstetrics and gynecology, from urology, anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, genetics, pediatrics. And we all had the common interest.
There's huge advantages to being in a place where people share your excitement and that you can share your ideas and then also feed off one another, to build on those ideas.
Well, I can say I was drawn to McGill in Quebec because of its strong history in reproductive science. And so when I was looking to relocate, this was one of the places that I was most interested in coming because I knew I would have critical mass in my area of investigation. People working on complementary projects related to reproduction and development, but not necessarily people working on exactly what I work on.
If you look at really, really olden research, people would do research on their own. They would write books on their own, right? But with the modern techniques, it is fundamental, it is critical to be collaborative. Collaboration is the name of the game now, and having centers, what we have at McGill, gives us a huge chance to be collaborative, to interact more, and come up with cutting-edge research.
Each lab will have its own focus, and within each lab there'll be an investigator, there'll be perhaps visiting scientists who will come to learn from that lab. There will be students at different levels in their training, and then any research group, in order to get better at what they do, have to work with other scientists also. So there will be collaborations between one research lab and another research lab. And so that within our center, we have people working in many different areas.
It really facilitates our interactions that might not normally happen naturally because we're all busy in our own little offices and our own labs working on things, and it really gives us an opportunity to come together and interact with other scientists who are working on development or working on various aspects of reproduction.
And instead of having to reinvent the wheel, we collaborate, right? We're just bringing these complementary expertise or set of expertise together to solve problems.
There's been huge advances in the fields of reproduction and development over the last, I guess about 30 years. We still don't understand most of the causes of infertility, but we can treat a lot of individuals who are infertile.
It's only by doing very careful research that you can look at those causes in much more detail. And you may need animal models, you may need the clinical input from your clinician colleagues, so that by putting many things together, you'll be able to advance knowledge.
It costs money, it takes investment, but at the end of that, you drive the economy with knowledge, with innovation, with new technological developments, and hopefully with interventions that can increase the birth of healthy children for our center is one of our main objectives, or improve production rates for animals, farm animals.
Hundreds of years ago in Britain, the king visited the research facility and he said, it's a really funny place, the research laboratory. There are people who are trying to measure the weight of the air. In those days, for the king, air is a weightless substance. But if we didn't know the weight of the air, plane is not flying. Maybe we focus on the actual benefit in clinical sense or practical sense, but also knowledge will enrich our society too.
Everything that we do is about creating new knowledge. We want there to be a return on the investment. Now, some people would insist that return on investment is a product, a new drug, a new device, because we're in the biomedical health sphere, so those are the types of things that people think about. But I think that knowledge is a fantastic return on investment. You need, whenever there's a problem that you need to solve, what do? You don't start from scratch. You say, where are we now? What do we know now? And based on that knowledge, you make decisions about where to go next.